Hi, and welcome back as we continue to raise employer awareness of Affordable Care Act compliance. You've determined that your company has to comply with the Affordable Care Act because you're an applicable large employer, or ALE for short. Santa has come to the same conclusion. So what does being compliant mean? As a recap, Clause Resources is made up of 4 different companies, each with an FTE count of less than 50. However, we realized that a company with 50 or fewer FTEs can't breathe an ACA sigh of relief based on its own numbers. Confirming that Clause Resources companies meet IRS rules for both common controlled and affiliation, we had to combine headcounts, arriving at the total which does define Santa as an ALE. Which brings us to what ALEs have to do and when in order to comply with the healthcare law. What are the action items? What is the timeline? First, you need to know that for employers, the ACA isn't only about benefits. It's also about documentation of whether any health benefits are available to employees. We call this the difference between the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. For instance, offering coverage means you're complying with the spirit of the law. Filling out IRS forms about what your coverage offers means you're complying with the letter of the law. If you're an ALE, you have to pay attention to each level of compliance and prepare requirements for both. With Clause Resources having an ALE count of 99, Santa has a break, just for this tax year, from worries about one level of ACA compliance. The IRS extended a grace period last year for employers with 50 to 99 FTEs. That spares Santa and other business owners in this ALE headcount range from penalties related to the coverage they offered in 2015. So, as long as these businesses go through the process of producing and then filing copies of the required forms from their employees with the IRS, employers in Santa's 50 to 99 ALE range don't have to sweat being fined for what is reported on those returns. That may sound good, but Santa and his 50 to 99 ALE counterparts can't dismiss production of required ACA forms as easy stuff. Shown here, Form 1095-C represents the most detailed workforce reporting ever required of U.S. businesses. It's regulatory reporting on steroids, so much more than the quarterly and yearly summaries everyone is used to. And this form doesn't go to every employee the way a W-2 does. Figuring out who should get a 1095-C can, in some cases, be just as tricky as filling it out. Its only similarity to a W-2 is the time period in which the 1095-Cs need to be produced. The same day that every employee must receive a W-2, some employees may have a 1095-C in their hands. At fully insured companies, this form needs to go to every employee who meets the ACA definition of full-time and, according to the law, is eligible for an offer of health insurance. Figuring out this eligibility is challenging at workplaces where schedules vary and there are many part-timers, as is the case with 3 of Santa's 4 companies. You need ACA reporting software with deep data mining functions that doesn't take months to implement. To produce these forms in time, it needs to be implemented fast. It's also critical to find software that works with the new IRS e-filing system that's specific to ACA returns. As you can see noted here, FIRE, the system that everyone is familiar with for e-filing, will not accept ACA returns. And the new system, AIR, will only accept a file format that's not as simple as those usually sent electronically. This is a key must-know for businesses that have to send 1095-C copies of 250 and more, for which e-filing is mandatory. For ALE groups like Santa's companies, the consolidated reporting for the commonly controlled and affiliated entities also must be submitted electronically. There's a lot of new territory here that needs to be managed. At Integrity Data, we're more than familiar with the new e-filing system for ACA returns. We were the first software company to meet the IRS testing requirements for transmission to the AIR system. February 29th is the filing deadline for ACA returns sent by mail, and March 31st is the e-filing deadline. There is a lack of awareness that IRS reporting is even a part of ACA compliance. For businesses that don't produce these forms, what risk is there when they have nothing to file with the IRS? The answer is quick and costly. A non-filing penalty of $500 per required form. We're not quite done. To prepare for 2016, employers whose businesses are in the ALE headcount range of 50 to 99 must multitask for ACA readiness. That's because their break from worries about the second level of ACA compliance, meeting the coverage mandate, is only for 2015. On January 1st, 1 month before they need to get 1095-C forms to their employees, data will start collecting for the 1095-C forms for next year. If that data shows that an offer wasn't made in time to an eligible employee, or that the offer made didn't meet ACA standards, the company will be exposed to penalties next year. As indicated, the non-filing penalty would be assessed according to the number of required forms, while the coverage penalties would be assessed by month and then additionally multiplied by employee counts. Keep in mind, these penalties are before taxes and not adjusted for inflation from the 2015 rate. It's important to find a robust ACA reporting system to know your ACA penalty risk and make decisions to minimize or proactively avoid coverage penalties. Let's summarize and simplify the employer must-dos for ACA reporting compliance with the IRS. Here's what you need to do overall and when. Annually provide Form 1095-C to all ACA-defined full-time employees. File 1094-C with the IRS and determine ALE status. Monthly, calculate employee eligibility for offer of health coverage. Track cost of the coverage offered, and track affordability of coverage offered to each employee. Continuously track every employee's hours of service. If you would like to learn more in a live session that also introduces our cost-effective and quick-to-implement ACA reporting software, please go to the web link below for a registration link to our complimentary webinar. That same link will have more resources for you, such as a recording about what makes Santa and you an applicable large employer, blog posts that give you a deeper look into our workforce calculations for Santa, and IRS resources so you can fact-check the guidance that we're giving. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this presentation informative. Please let us know how else we can help you.